This is sample number 15. We're doing a flat felled seam finish. So a flat felled seam finish, you're probably really familiar with it because this is the seam finish on every pair of Levi jeans. So we're going to start with 2 pieces of fabric. They're cut 5 by 9, and we're going to sew these with right sides together. And it's really important that we start with a 5/8 inch seam allowance. So on your sewing machine, we've already found where that seam allowance is, but that is going to be on that 20 mark, that 20 line. On your sewing machine, it might be already marked as 5/8, so 5/8. I'm going to get my iron now. I'm going to trim my threads. Now I need my scissors because what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim away one side of my seam allowance. I'm going to leave one side long. I'm going to trim away one side short. So I want to trim it about halfway. So halfway is a little bit more than a 1/4 inch. I'm going to get rid of that. Now I'm going to take my iron and I want to press the long side over the shorter side. And I want to press it from first the wrong side, then the right side, and make sure that that seam allowance is all the way open. Once that is all the way open, you can turn it to the wrong side again. Now I'm going to take that raw edge and I'm going to, with my fingers, I'm going to tuck it under. And I'm going to tuck it under halfway. And tuck it under halfway. I know the fabric feels hot, but when it's kind of hot, your fabric will kind of stay in place. And then once it's tucked under, you're going to take your iron and you're going to press it again. This seam works really well on straight seams. It doesn't work well on curved seams. Slight curved seams, it works okay, but really curvy seams, not so well. So we're pressing that. And once you've got it pressed, it usually, with a cotton fabric, it will stay pressed in place. If it's a polyester fabric, you're going to have to pin that because it will want to keep popping out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch that down. Now I can stitch that down from the wrong side, or I can stitch it from the right side, a 1/4 inch from that seam. So I'm going to stitch here, 1/4 inch from the original stitching line. If this were a pair of Levi's, what I would do to reinforce, because this reinforces your Levi's, I would stitch it from the right side. So I've got that stitch line here to keep that tucked under. But from the right side, I've got it stitched down, and I'm gonna probably want another line here and right next to that seam allowance. So it's gonna look like on a pair of jeans, this is what it looks like. I've got 2 parallel stitching lines on the right side, and that's a flat felled seam finish. It's a nice seam finish, and it really gives your seam a lot of strength.